It took me almost 20 minutes to get that cup of coffee down. I think it's like probably like 10 minutes or something or so, but yeah, quite some time. I've been watching scalpers lose money, which is very fun. I love it. I love it when they lose money. Fucking hate scalpers, dude. Anyway, I wonder if there's any new analog horror that just came out. Ooh.
I keep telling myself there's a logical explanation for this. There has to be. But the more I think about it, the more my skin crawls. And I can't shake the feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with how we got here.
I get the heartbeat. What is this?
So horrible, man. I begged the court to let me go home where I could be protected by my...
These are some of the most disturbing and gut-wrenching POV clips.
Oh my
ever
god, these
caught.
are kind of scary, no?
I personally searched through countless videos
Okay,
to try and bring you only
not to like mislead anybody, but I wanted to like watch some analog horror right now. I don't know if there's any right now that's actually good, but we might watch this one because this one is super interesting. So, if you're interested, just tune in and check the video out with me. We'll get some reacts, talk about it, and yeah, just chill and see where this one goes. This is super interesting so far.
the most intense and unfiltered moments. Some of these are so extreme that they've been wiped from the internet, so as always, viewer discretion is highly advised. Level 1. Man discovers lost GoPro.
I'm just like super happy about my coffee. That was Luna Coffee. Yeah, it's so for anyone who's wondering, it's by Luna Coffee. It's called Los Guacharos Field Blend, Huila, Colombia. Yeah. It's very much like has a berry aftertaste on it. It's so good. I love it. I love it a lot. This is probably my favorite coffee roastery right now. Is it's either Prototype or Luna. But Monaco Analog Coffee is not bad. They're pretty good. Was it Mona? I forgot the other roasteries in Vancouver. Mona. Just gonna take off my watch. Vancouver Coffee Roasters. Milano is not bad. Moja Coffee. That was the one that I was thinking about. Moja Coffee is pretty good. Their decaf is insane, actually.
In July 2019, YouTuber Rich Aloha was scuba diving in Foster Falls State Park, Tennessee.
That's a
when
name,
he made
Rich
a
Aloha?
shocking discovery. He had been hunting for treasure but found nothing more than a GoPro camera buried in the mud at the bottom of a lake near a waterfall. It turned out that the GoPro belonged to Richard Ragland, a 22-year-old man who had tragically drowned at the same location 2 years earlier in 2017. He was spending the day with friends, swimming near the waterfall when he went underwater and never came back up, just days before his 23rd birthday. But what made this discovery so incredible was that the SD card inside the camera was still intact and functional despite being submerged for a full 2 years. When he checked it, Rich discovered that the footage on the card captured Ragland's final moments, showing him smiling, swimming, and enjoying his day with friends. At the time, Rich had no idea who the man on the tape was, but he soon remembered that he had been told all about Ragland's death by park rangers. This was likely the young man's lost camera. Determined to do the right thing, Aloha spent hours researching online to find a way to contact Raglan's family. Eventually, Aloha succeeded in reaching out to Raglan's parents, Robin and Gary McCreer, who were overwhelmed by the news. They had previously been sent a thumb drive by park rangers containing some of the final footage of their son, but it had apparently been stolen in transit, meaning they never got any closure on his death. Aloha eventually met with the McCreers to return the GoPro and its contents, making for an emotional moment. The family was grateful for the opportunity to see their son living life to the fullest in his final hours. Robin McCreer expressed her appreciation for Aloha's efforts, saying that his persistence in contacting them means the world to us. Aloha, who considered his diving adventures a form of ministry, felt that he was divinely led to this discovery. He described
It's
the
still kinda dark,
experience
though.
as indescribable, and stated that he doesn't think there's ever been a more impactful find.
Damn, that shit is insane, actually. Imagine just being able to dig that up. Oh, let's check the story. No, it's in 2019 when he found it. Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, that's so messed up. But also, like, very endearing to the family that lost their kid. That's like, that's a lot, dude. That's a lot.
Exploration of the Bohemian Grove. YouTuber Dancer1 conducted a daring investigation into the secretive Bohemian
Dancer
Grove.
One. Oh, I've heard of the Bohemian Grove. So Bohemian Grove is a society of like, I'm not sure if it's like Illuminati or some shit like that, but it's some pretty creepy shit that they do there. Like, I don't know if they have like pagan sacrifices or some stuff like that, but there's been a lot of rumors towards that, but nothing's confirmed because nobody's seen it properly. There's been some speculation that they've been going there. There's this one YouTuber that actually really did try to going there. Forgot his wait.
Private 2,700-acre campground in Monte Rio, California, owned by the elite Bohemian Club.
Yeah, the Bohemian.
Well, at least
I think there's a YouTube video going.
private 2,700-acre campground in
Yeah, hold on. Going to Bohemian Grove. Yeah, I did. Tyler went and tried to sneak into Bohemian Grove, which is pretty insane. I forgot the video, like what's inside the video, but we could check it out later.
At least that's what we know to be true. For years, the Bohemian Grove has been the focus of conspiracy theories due to its highly exclusive nature and elite membership. Very few people are allowed to join, and those that do are rarely ever heard from again. That tight-knit secrecy has led to a host of claims.
Hold on. I gotta get to some messages. What is Danza Kuduro? What the hell? Oh.
which
I just remembered that wasn't my
surrounded
responsibility.
the club for as long as it's existed. But Dancer One wanted to know for sure.
Dancer One is an
Waited
interesting
until
name,
the
eh?
off-season when it was colder and fewer members would be visiting the campground. Using a kayak, he carefully crossed the Russian River and entered the property undetected. After navigating the dense trees and the uneven, steep terrain, he eventually reached the heart of the campground, only to find it was far, far more unsettling than even he expected. Right before him, he
That's
saw
crazy.
the 40-foot owl statue, which serves as the centerpiece for the club's annual cremation of care ritual, a slightly unsettling annual tradition that nobody gets to see. But the further into the grounds he got, the more and more surveillance Dancer One saw. Video cameras and security guards everywhere, and that was just what he could see. There could be motion-activated sensors anywhere, and the consequences of breaking into the world's most secure cult could be deadly. So he left. But Dancer
So he
One's
left.
investigation didn't stop with this initial foray. He claimed to have returned to Bohemian Grove multiple times, including during the annual July encampment when the cremation of care ritual takes place. He says that he even witnessed part of the ritual, describing the sight of a person covered in cloth being carried and placed in a boat, suggesting a mock sacrifice of some kind. But the truth is that nobody has any idea what takes place in Bohemian Grove behind closed doors. And
That's
Dancer One's
crazy.
investigation suggests we don't want to. Level 2. Westinghouse Electricity Factory. In the heart of Cleveland, Ohio, stood the once mighty Westinghouse Electric Factory, a testament to America's industrial prowess. This colossal facility, which had churned out everything from metal casings to lighting equipment, was once among the largest factories in the United States. But in 1979, the production lines fell silent and the factory doors closed for good, leaving behind a giant shell of its former glory. Chris Hill, also known as Urbex Hill, set his sights on uncovering the secrets that lay within the abandoned walls of the factory. He wanted to discover the remnants from the factory's heyday, frozen in time for over 4 decades. But before he even got into the building, Chris got an ominous sign. The sound of gunfire, a shootout not far from their location.
Damn. Holy. Maybe those are hunters or something. That's fucked up.
That's Cleveland. Wow. That's crazy. It's not even that far away from here. Oh shit, that sounds like a shootout.
But it wasn't enough to stop him. He wanted to see inside the factory. The factory itself was nothing.
That's
special,
crazy.
Just an abandoned building left to decay. But when they went into the basement, everything got much more real. The place looked like a war zone, dripping with water and broken down. That's when the noises began.
Holy shit. That's worse.
Okay, I'm hearing something. Maybe it's an animal. I'm sure there's animals down here.
Strange noises echoed through the basement, which Urbex Hill assumed, or hoped, was some kind of an animal, like a stray dog. Of course, if they did encounter a stray dog in this basement, escaping would be a serious challenge. But as if all of this wasn't intense enough, Urbex's lights started to switch off right as those unsettling noises began again. It was horrible timing, but the bizarre and unknown noise just made them want to venture deeper and find out what it was. They found a strange man crouched in the corner, shirtless and staring at the wall, not
Oh.
He was clearly homeless, possibly high on some kind of drug, but suddenly the noises made sense. It turns out that the basement was home to a homeless encampment, a large-scale resting place for people who have nowhere else to turn.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that was enough to make Urbex say it was time to leave, if they could still find the exit. Dog's GoPro captures strange sounds in Michigan forest. A man and his dog were hiking through the Huron National Forest in Michigan. The man had fixed a GoPro to the dog, hoping to get some cool and unique footage from his pup's POV. The man had a history of hunting for Bigfoot always hoping that he would one day get the legendary creature on camera. So far, he had been unsuccessful. But the man never once gave up hope. This could be the day. But he couldn't have anticipated he would get something far, far stranger. As the dog fished around the forest looking for something fun and interesting to play with, a bizarre sound rang out across the woodland. A strange shriek, inhuman and frankly unsettling.
I don't know what the hell that is over there. Alright, get away from there.
It sounded nothing like any other known animal sound in the world, something more demonic and screechy. The dog heard it right away, and the man soon heard it afterwards, but he had no clue what the animal could possibly have been. The noise just got louder and louder, and more intense to boot. As the dog started going toward it, the man decided that they had to leave. It was too dangerous to go and chase the sound of an animal they had never heard before. When the video was eventually uploaded, the man's followers identified the sound as an Aztec death whistle, a bizarre and sinister old whistle once used by the Aztecs for sacrificial purposes. It emits a sinister, haunting, and frankly terrifying screeching sound, exactly like the one the man and his dog heard.
It's not that freaky. It's been around for a long time.
But whether this was all one big prank or something more sinister and intense, we're still not clear on that.
Yeah, it's a little overreacting.
Daniel O'Neill's camping encounter.
I don't think it's that scary.
In 2023, Daniel O'Neill, the creator behind the YouTube channel English Woodsman, was making what he thought would be a pretty typical camping video. He had ventured into an area he was not super familiar with, that he had never really visited before, hoping for a totally different kind of video. Daniel had specifically chosen his location to be far from the nearby cows, right in the middle of the woodland for some peace and quiet. But as he set up all of his recording equipment, he started to feel unsettled by something he had heard.
Hello? Hello? You got a bit of that. There's nobody here.
That's kind of creepy.
I'm gonna put it down. There could just be
Not really.
something behind me here. But it sounded like human footsteps.
While he was walking, he heard a strange noise, what seemed to be human footsteps beside him. But it was all on his own, and if there had been someone walking near him, he would have been aware of it. The overthinking was bothering him. He couldn't
I
spend
call
an entire
cap,
video
bro.
obsessing about it. But the noises didn't stop. Not for a second. After his tent was set up and he was inside, he suddenly heard another mysterious sound outside. What seemed to be someone walking past his tent. He dismissed it again, convinced that he was now just hearing what he wanted to hear. But when he played back the recording, he confirmed that the sound was real. Yet, nobody was in the area. By this point, his anxiety was rapidly increasing, noticing more and more bizarre noises outside of his tent.
I think you're just
But
freaking
every
yourself
time
out
he
at that
checked,
point. But
he
the
saw
scary thing is if it
nobody nearby.
actually, if something really did happen and people might not believe you, then that's the fucked up part. Like, this is all fun and games and all that, but like, if something really did happen that would like actually try to fuck you up, nobody would believe you because you're like a known liar on the internet. That would kind of be like annoying as well in your side, in your part, but you kind of set yourself up for that. But yeah, this is some fun video. Like, this is a fun video to do when you're out in the woods. It's like basically just a POV Blair Witch type horror thing. That you hear that? Do you hear that crunch? Somebody hear that noise? I think somebody's in chat. Is there somebody in the room? Fuck, there is.
and the sounds picked up on
And you could just like literally just look up some stories online, like, oh, there was some missing kids, there was a missing person in this woods. There's bound to be something that went down there, that went down there. Gonna be creepy and shit. You could use that as a story.
recordings seemed impossible. Dry footsteps, despite the wet, muddy conditions. No matter how much he convinced himself that he was just hearing things or making it up, Daniel kept hearing the noises. He knew he had to find another spot to camp outside of the woods. He later described the noises that he had heard as being animal-like, but impossible to describe in any more specific way. All he knew was that he had to get out of there as quickly as possible. He would never come to know what the noise was. Level 3.
Creepy.
Fake cop traffic stop. It was just after midnight on a September night in 2019, and an Albuquerque Police Department officer was driving home when he noticed what seemed to be a traffic officer conducting a stop near 4th Street and I-40. The traffic cop had pulled over an SUV and was in the process of interrogating the driver, but something about it rang strange to the APD officer. For one thing, the traffic stop officer wasn't driving a regulation vehicle, he was driving a civilian car with red and blue flashing lights.
That's
For another,
sus, bro.
He was wearing plain clothes with nothing even remotely police-like other than a strange star-shaped badge on his belt. And the biggest and strangest issue of all, he just happened to look very young. The APD officer decided to approach the traffic cop and get some answers, believing that he would have identification that could clear the whole thing up. The traffic officer introduced himself as Brendan Wazinski, a cop that had worked for the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office for 3 years. He had stopped the SUV for allegedly traveling at 120 miles per hour on the highway, but something was still really, really off. And the more that he questioned Officer Wazinski, the more that feeling continued to grow. Officer Wazinski couldn't produce proper identification. His birth year, 1994, didn't match the registration of his vehicle, suggesting that wasn't his car. And he wasn't wearing appropriate police attire or equipment. Only at this point did Wazinski admit that he was not and had never been a cop.
Alright. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm not a cop.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just gonna be.
Where'd you get that badge from?
I bought it offline.
Okay. Do me a favor. Stay in here, okay? For a second.
He had purchased the badge online and fabricated his story about being a deputy, expecting to get away with it and secure a bribe from the people he was pulling over. Wazinski was arrested and charged as an adult with impersonating an officer. During questioning, he changed his story multiple times, at one point claiming the badge belonged to his deceased father, a claim the sheriff's office couldn't verify. In the end, all that they knew was that Wazinski had lied about being an officer, but everything else remained a total mystery.
What?
Fishing next to an active dam. In 2022, a YouTuber called Skylar, or The Sky Life, decided to make a fishing video. But he wanted to go fishing in a unique and different spot, settling on a bank next to the very active Phoenix Dam. The signs all over the area had warned of danger, urging people not to fish in the water. The official guidance was that there would be 3 loud sirens signifying that the dam was about to release and flood, but Skylar didn't care. He thought the odds of that happening were so low that it was almost irrelevant. At first, Skylar's experience was incredible. After a series of failed fishing attempts, he was getting a whole bunch of impressive catches. Smallmouth and largemouth bass were coming in left and right, and he believed he was about to catch a real big one. A giant, unidentified fish that nobody had seen before. But the fishing trip was suddenly interrupted by a loud, blaring noise. A siren.
I gotta go. Oh.
I got 2 more sirens. Uh-oh. I'm almost back.
Skylar knew instantly that wasn't good, but then it was followed by a second siren. Knowing that the water was about to be released in a very, very dangerously quick gush, Skylar had to rush over the slippery rocks to safety, the exact situation the signs had warned him about. He had to stay calm even though they were mere moments away from being completely obliterated. When he finally got to safety, he realized that there was no third siren coming. The entire thing had been a false alarm, possibly triggered to deter him from fishing in the area. The water wasn't rising, nor was it ever going to rise. In his rush to escape the scene, Skylar had injured his leg, another risk that the signs had warned him about. He had a good time fishing while he did, at least. Despite initially dismissing the warnings that had been laid out all over the area, Skylar finally had to admit that he should have listened. He told his viewers to respect the warnings, to be safe, and to not go fishing next to an active dam.
That is so
Orca
moronic.
encounter.
Such
In
a
Norway,
moronic
a
thing
group
to
of
do.
tourists climbed on board a big wooden boat heading out into the fjords in hopes of seeing some orcas in the wild. Of course, there was no guarantee that they would be able to see any, but just as the sun was starting to go down, they had some luck. An orca passed by their boat, and then another, and another. Within a matter of minutes, they found themselves in the middle of a massive pod of whales, with dozens and dozens of the orcas surrounding them and passing peacefully. It was an incredible view, but of course, everyone was terrified. The killer whale is one of the biggest animals.
I gotta buy a tripod. I think I might buy the KNF. Oh, no. Ah. Is the KNF way better? What was this one? The scariest thing of them all, purchasing. Dude, I can't believe I lost my tripod. I actually want to buy a Gundam. Gundam. Oh, this is pretty dope. The Requiem Gundam is pretty sick. Damn, the full mechanics is nice too. What if I just... Ooh, I could buy a box too, actually. I have the Jikox already. This one's a nice kit to build. I have it here. I gotta reach. This is the Jikax. This is what it looks like. It's pretty small, but it's pretty dope. Like the design of it all is like pretty unique. I have her holding the gun. Yeah, the Jikax is pretty sick, actually. It's probably one of my favorite Gundams in my collection. I only have a few though. Most of my stuff is high grade though. Like most of the stuff I have is just high grade. I only have one RG and it's not even that good. I think I broke it too. What else do I need? I think that's it. I just only need that tripod. This one's nice. Wait, how does this one work? Oh wait, I saw it. Oh, this one's nice though. Yeah, this one's nice. Actually, I'll just buy this. Oh yeah, and the last volume of Manhole, because of course. Wait, when is Manhole? Oh. Do you have any Commander decks on sale? Commander deck. Oh, the Final Fantasy ones are cheap. They've gone down in price. They've gone down in price. Whoa, holy shit. Imagine buying this deck. I got this deck for crazy though. This one's not bad. The Counters deck. Nobody's been playing the Y'shtola deck though. So that's kind of odd. How much would it... Oh. That's so painful, dude. Sweet Caroline.
On the planet, an apex predator that has more than earned its reputation in the world. And while they don't usually tend to attack humans, there have been multiple cases of that happening. In 1970,
oh, I bought a manga.
Surfer in California.
I just wanted to talk about it, but I bought a manga. It's called Gokurakugai. Gokurakugai. It's by Yuto Sano. The art is like, I like the art.
Was bitten on the leg by an orca but survived. In 2005, a 12-year-old boy in Alaska was bumped by an orca while swimming, but not injured. And in 2014, a diver in New Zealand was pulled underwater by an orca grabbing his catch bag, but escaped unharmed. All other cases of humans being attacked or killed by orcas have happened in captivity. But that doesn't mean that seeing this many this close is not terrifying. Fortunately for these people, the orcas had no impact. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office received the initial report of the missing children around 7:55 p.m. on Thursday. But as night fell and rain set in, concerns for the children's safety grew.
That's crazy,
They
though.
had to be found quickly, or they might not be found at all. A large-scale search operation was launched involving law enforcement agencies from several jurisdictions, fire department personnel, Montgomery County Search and Rescue, helicopters, drones, and canine tracking dogs. Throughout the night, search efforts continued in the dense forest area, searching in every single area they could. The children, following advice their parents had given them, took shelter under a fallen tree and stayed in one spot, waiting for help to arrive. On Friday morning, a local volunteer familiar with the forest set out to search for the kids. Around 9:30 a.m., he located the children in an area at least a mile from where they were thought to have entered the forest. Initially struggling with poor cell service, the volunteer eventually contacted 911. Dispatchers triangulated his position and directed Sergeant Jason Smith of the Montgomery County Precinct 2 Constable's office to their location. Body cam footage captured the moment Sergeant Smith found the children and the volunteer.
Ain't Jesus good? He's good. Kids,
That's crazy.
are y'all ready to get out of the woods?
Oh, that's
Come on,
sweet.
buddy. Let's get out of here. You got cheeseburgers in your car? We're going to get something to eat. Okay? You want to hold my hand? We'll get out of here? Cold. Come on.
Smith led the group out of the dense forest using his phone's compass for navigation. When his phone stopped working, he had other responders activate their sirens to guide him in the right direction. After about a 20-minute hike, they emerged from the woods and reunited with the waiting first responders. The children were evaluated by Montgomery County EMS personnel and confirmed to be uninjured before being reunited with their relieved families, marking a massive victory for what could have been an unimaginable tragedy. GoPro captures sounds in a cave. The action-adventure twins had hit on something big. In the middle of nowhere, somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains, they had found an inexplicable pipe in the middle of the forest. Now they were back to find out what exactly was inside. It took the twins 3 hours to hike their way into the mountains, through the poison ivy and far enough into the middle of nowhere to find the pipe. Tying a string around their GoPro, they slowly lowered it into the pipe. But, much to their surprise, it just kept going, and going, and going. The sounds they got were nothing special, just the sound of metal for a while. Then everything changed.
Holy.
They could hear water down there. But whenever they shined their flashlights into the pipe, all they saw was another pipe at the bottom. One that the GoPro never seemed to hit. The twins were convinced that there was some kind of cave system below, some river or small body of water. But the weirdest was about to happen. The GoPro began to pick up strange sounds, inexplicable heavy breathing and footsteps, as though the GoPro had landed right next to somebody. The GoPro hadn't come into contact with anything solid. It had continued to go down just as it had to up to this point. It simply made no sense. When the GoPro was retrieved, they once again shone the flashlight into the pipe, hoping they would see something that could clarify what was going on down there. But again, all they could see was some kind of reflective metal at the bottom, which they thought was impossible. The GoPro went so deep that it surely would have hit the metal. Instead, it simply continued without stopping. The twins maintain to this day that the pipe is wrong somehow.
Damn.
There's something strange about it that makes simply no sense whatsoever. Maybe it's a cave system, maybe it's an underground river. But the pipe never seems to end, and whatever is down there remains a creepy, unknowable factor. Abandoned school. For over 13 years, Robert Fulton Elementary School in Cleveland, Ohio has been left to deteriorate and rot into nothing. But YouTubers and urban explorers now view it as one of the best places to go poking around, including Chris Hill. Chris Hill from the Urbex Hill channel had explored the school once before in 2022 and encountered some seriously unsettling things. But 2 years had passed, and he wanted to see how much things had changed, and just how deteriorated it had become. When he entered the building at 1 a.m., he soon realized that the place had deteriorated quite a bit, to the point of total structural instability. The stairs under his feet creaked so badly they could collapse at any moment. The upper level of the school was seemingly on its last legs, but Chris was looking beyond that and seeing much more concerning warning signs. There were scribbles on the wall everywhere he turned, ominous messages like "Don't explore alone" and "Keep out," suggesting that people had been here not long before. In the classrooms, he found evidence that people had been squatting inside the school, possibly as recently as the night before. He had heard noises in the school from the second he entered, but he had seen nobody. And against his better judgment, he decided to press on and explore further. Unfortunately, he was about to encounter the one thing that he could never have counted on.
What is it?
A screaming man.
Yo, that got me too. That was so freaky, bro.
Somebody's in there.
No shit, bro.
Oh, shit. I don't know if he's chasing me, but this. Oh, fuck. That scared the fuck out of me.
Chris had no idea who the guy was, where he came from, or what he wanted. But it was enough of a warning to get him the hell out of the place.
That was smart.
When he finally got out of the school, Chris reflected on the whole experience, concluding that the guy was most likely a squatter. He was probably worried that Chris was robbing him or taking over his territory. But when he went back to review the footage later, he realized that he was never actually on his own. The figure had been seen earlier in the background, quietly shifting from one room to another, always keeping an eye on Chris.
That was
Level 5.
kind of creepy. I don't
The note
see it
and
though.
the bras. It was August 2020, and a man named David was using the Randonautica app, a unique application designed to generate random coordinates for the user to go and explore. David believed that the coordinates he had been given would lead him to something fascinating, exciting even. But when he reached the site, he found something that was completely unsettlingly creepy. The location was a mess, with a fire pit sitting right in the middle of a clearing and some strange items all around. Multiple bras were perfectly arranged on a tree branch, scattered condom packages were littered on the floor, and a handwritten note requested a cell phone number. David knew that this whole thing was creepy and kind of messed up. The bras and condoms suggested some kind of intimate adult activity, but the fire pot was an unsettling addition to the whole thing. He started to feel as though many women had come to this very spot only to be harmed and sacrificed.
What?
And even though he knew that the smart thing would be to turn and leave without even stopping to think, he put his number on the note as requested, leaving his personal contact information behind. In his mind, this would be the first step in a long adventure, or a total unrepenting nightmare. David didn't hear anything back for a while. He thought that the whole thing was totally futile, some weird prank that would never go anywhere. But then, out of the blue,
Someone
he
called
got
him?
a text message from an unknown sender. When he opened the message, David was horrified and deeply unsettled to discover that the sender had sent him his own home address. David knew that he had only put his phone number down, but now he was convinced that he was being stalked. Nobody knows what happened to David after this part of the story, and many unanswered questions remain about the scene that he found in the woods, but none of them can ever be answered. And those who do know the answers likely aren't around anymore to share them. Apitor, Tor Eckhoff. Tor Eckhoff, or Apitor as he was better known on YouTube, was a massive social media star. With a 1.2 million strong following on YouTube and content with over 389 million views, he had made a name for himself by showing off travel videos showcasing the beautiful landscapes of his home, Norway. But Apitor was not just your run-of-the-mill travel content creator. He wasn't interested in only showing the gorgeous landscapes of his homeland. He would film himself performing dangerous, unthinkable stunts, usually involving ice skating on thin ice, diving into icy waters, and drinking vodka in extreme conditions. And his followers loved him for it. One day he posted a video titled, "I am not dead, I am 57 today." It was his 57th birthday, and he was doing basically all the stuff that his fans came to his channel for. He was immersed in what looked like a freezing outdoor bathtub, drinking vodka straight from the bottle. But what the fans didn't know is that this would be the last time he would ever be seen. On November 22nd, 2021, Eckhoff was filming a video at Jakobs Dam near the town of Kongsberg, Norway. The video was going to be one of his usual stunts, seeing him skate on frozen lake water. But today, the ice broke and pulled him into the freezing lake water. Witnesses could hear his screams for help from a distance and quickly alerted emergency services. Within a short space of time, divers managed to rescue Eckhoff from the icy lake, and he was airlifted to Ullevål Hospital in Oslo. Yet, despite the efforts of medical professionals, Eckhoff succumbed to his injuries on the same day. He had been underwater for too long, and doctors were unable to save him. The news of his death was a massive shock for his fan base, especially given that just days earlier, he had posted the video celebrating his 57th birthday. In his honor, his fans shared messages of how his videos brought joy to them. His partner, Tove Sharven, shared a heartfelt message on Facebook describing the loss as indescribable and thanking Eckhoff for the memories they shared. He was no longer alive, but his memory would never die. Pilot crash. It was November 2019, and a student pilot was flying alone in the single-engine Cessna 172. The Cessna had long been described as a friendly plane to fly for a new pilot, but something was going very wrong with this one. On the approach to landing at North Perry Airport in Pembroke Pines, Florida, the pilot was experiencing difficulties. The landing procedure wasn't going as smoothly as it typically did. When the wheels eventually hit the tarmac, the plane immediately veered right off the runway, sliding into a grassy area right next to it. The pilot couldn't seem to stop the plane as it hit and damaged 2 airport signs until the plane eventually came to a powerful stop. Local police and fire rescue teams immediately responded to the scene when the crash was reported, with the sheriff's office coming in to give their guidance too. Miraculously, the student pilot had survived, managing to exit the aircraft without...
Okay, this is a little too much. I'm like not getting anything out of this anymore.